What's good, y'all? I'm back with another video for y'all today. And I kind of just want to talk about why you guys need to find a mentor or find someone that's doing better than you and try to emulate them to a certain degree. Now, what I mean by this is I know in my journey, specifically real estate, which is what I'm in right now, I sought after people that were basically doing more than I was at that given moment. So initially, I was focused on like residential stuff, and the people that I was able to kind of like refer to were my parents to a certain degree because they had some experience in the real estate space. My dad was a prior realtor, but that was years back. So a lot of their information that they had was outdated, but it was definitely informative to hear their experience and kind of the things that they went through in order to kind of mitigate their risk and how they dealt with tenants and so on and so forth. So then I met one of my friends in college that does residential, and I was able to learn a lot from him. I was able to understand how the residential space works, how I can manipulate it in my favor, and just understand terminology, how to run the numbers, what makes a good deal from a bad deal, and leverage his network to be able to get that database of people in the residential space. Then, once I got my first internship after my freshman year, I knew I wanted to do nothing but commercial. So, what I did was I basically exploited every opportunity that I had within my internship at that given time. So, once I knew I wanted to do real estate, commercial real estate, particularly development, I made sure I met all the people I possibly could within the industry. So, when we had different site visits during my internship and we had guest speakers come in, I made sure that I shook their hand and asked them questions about their career, what they see going on in the market, and how they were kind of able to wiggle themselves into the space to kind of be able to make a means of living for themselves. And I think even to this day, that was the differentiator between me and other people, was that I just wasn't scared. I was like, I'd rather fuck up now so that later on in my later years, I'm a master at my craft. I'm a master at this shit. So basically, what I ended up doing was I made sure I shook everybody's hand, made sure I asked thought invoking questions that made them remember me, number one, because a lot of the time, like, people do ask these generic questions, these mundane questions, which is fine to a certain degree, but it's not going to trigger anything to be like, yeah, this guy stands out. He really wants to do this. Like, if you're just asking general questions about the career, like, they get that shit all the time. You want to be able to stand out. You want to be able to make a name for yourself. So you have to ask different questions that are going to trigger different emotions and really make them critically think like, damn, this is what happened in that situation. This is what happened in that situation. Prime example. Instead of you just saying like, oh, like, what's the most challenging thing that you go through on a daily basis? Instead of saying a question like that, say something like, well, give me a time and a scenario where there was a situation that was very challenging, and what were some of the things you did to overcome it, and what were you able to learn from that experience that helped you kind of catapult your career so that you knew how to mitigate these situations. See, I literally rephrased the same question, just triggered different emotions in the mind so that you can get a better answer. You ask cookie cutter questions, you're going to get a cookie cutter answer. But if you ask a thought invoking question, you're going to get a thought invoking answer. So I think for me, it was really just putting myself in certain rooms. Like, there were times where I was scared to talk to these people and I knew I wasn't qualified and just getting myself in the room. But at the end of the day, I knew I was going to be in that room at some point anyway. So might as well just try and do it now. And just having that unwavering belief in myself and just ignoring all the noise and blocking out all the noise for the people that were like, why were you there? Or why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? I just didn't care, you know? And there were people that were trying to talk down on me, asking me why I did what I did, and do you think this is gonna work, and X, Y, and Z. And honestly, I just use this fuel to the fire. You know, like, I just wanted to a certain degree, it's not good, but it also is good. It's just proving everybody wrong and just telling them to shut the fuck up. And prime example of that, I was at the Under Armour store that I used to work at in college, and I was able to see the same people that were working there, what, 3 years ago. And I saw the same people that were working there, and they were like, hey, what are you up to? Told them what I did, and they were like, wow, good for you, you deserve it. Mind you, that same person that was talking to me and asking me these questions about what I did, she would get mad at me for like standing around when there wasn't anything to do. She's talking about, oh, you need to get back to work, do X, Y, and Z. And I actually ended up getting fired from that job for some bullshit. So basically what ended up happening was that I asked one of the workers if I could use their discount. At the time I wasn't working there, but I was planning on working there again. So basically I just wanted him to give me something at a decent discount, and I was gonna pay him and do whatever. So they let me go for some bullshit. But anyways, get to the register. She checks me out. She's like, "Yeah, I bet you get paid big bucks, huh?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Good for." She was like, "Good for you." Da 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 da. So basically, it was kind of just a full circle moment. Like I always knew I'd be in this position, and it just goes to show like other people are not meant to see your vision, and you have to know what's best for you at the end of the day. No matter what other people say, at the end of the day, they're really just impressing their beliefs and imposing their beliefs onto you, telling you that you can't do X, Y, and Z when deep down they know they can't do X, Y, and Z. Don't let that shit get to you. Have tunnel vision, keep your blinders up, stay focused on the important things, and you'll really have your way. There's gonna be a point in time where you're just gonna have to stretch yourself. You know, you're gonna have to stretch yourself to go get in that room to meet that specific person. You're gonna have to stretch yourself in order to learn new information. You're gonna have to stretch yourself in terms of money to make more money. So a lot of this is a compounding effect. And if you're not willing to put in the work, then just don't do it. I was willing to die for this shit, literally. And it may sound super insane to hear, but it just generally was. Like, I'd rather die, just bury me 6 feet under than me not going after the things that I want in life. That's just kind of how I look at it. And obviously, I'm wired a bit different than other people, and I can use that to my advantage. But there's also a fire in you too. You just have to figure out how to ignite that fire and keep it lit up, because there's going to be people and circumstances that are going to test you to really show who you really are and who your character really is. And the only person you're gonna let down is you. It's literally just you versus you. There's always gonna be people that talk shit. There's always gonna be people that are gonna downplay your success, saying it's not a lot, or you should have did this, that, and the third. You should have did it this way. You should have did it that way. Who gives a fuck at the end of the day? You just have to really figure out what's good for you, what's gonna benefit you, and just lock the fuck in. I literally work every day, whether it's on my mental, my physical, my spiritual, or just learning new information, meeting new people. The things that I did 3, 4, 5 years ago, I still do to this day. I still read books. I still listen to podcasts. I still listen to personal development. And it's not so much so like, oh, I really need this. It's more so just keeping my mind sharp. And a lot of the time people get caught up in doing all this research and doing X, Y, and Z, but at the end of the day, you have to go out there and put in the work. No one's gonna want this shit more than you, and you really have to figure out who you need to become in order to achieve that goal. So if you know that you want to be an engineer, right? So start talking to people that are already in the space. Start picking their brain. Start planning these coffee chats. Start networking on LinkedIn. Go to different conferences. Maybe ask people that know people that are engineers. So you kind of just have to force yourself into these predicaments, because they're not going to just get handed to you. And some people think that, oh, I wasn't given a chance, or I wasn't given an opportunity, and I guarantee 10 times out of 10 that opportunity passed by and you just didn't notice it. But if there was a circumstance where you haven't been able to get an opportunity, where you have to create that opportunity for yourself, doors open up for those that are willing to walk through them. And if you're not willing to walk through that door, then don't even bother doing it. It's just going to be a waste of time, and it's just going to waste the other party's time as well. So really just do whatever it takes to put yourself in uncomfortable situations, because there will be one day where you'll be looking back and you're like, damn, this shit is actually easier than I expected. I remember when I was 18, 17, and I thought shit was hard at the time, and now looking back at it, this shit's easy for me now. Whether that's communicating, whether that's doing presentations, whether that's networking with other people, introducing myself, whether that's just understanding real estate terminology and lingo. Like, there was a point in time where I didn't know what the fuck any of this shit meant. And now I look back, like, I'm glad I was able to do the grunt work then, so that now I can kind of indulge in the fruits of my labor and really be able to kind of indulge in some of the work that I put in prior to, and kind of live more of a life element. So like, I can spend more money on things, spend more money on myself. I can invest more in myself, So I think a lot of this shit is just a compound effect. And once you start, bro, you're never gonna want to stop. Once you see a glimpse of your potential based on the work you put in on yourself, you're never gonna want to stop. You're gonna want to continue to keep going and going and going. At first, it's gonna be challenging, but you have to just start doing something. With me, I knew that at the time I wasn't disciplined at all, and I was just tired of being who I was at that given moment. And once I had a light switch go off, I was like, man, I'm done being this person that I am today. I need a radical change right now. And what I started doing was I started working out. I started doing push-ups in the morning. I started reading, started listening to personal development because I just wanted that radical change. I knew who I could be, and at that given moment, I just the stars weren't aligned. I had one identity and an identity that I wanted to be, and I just needed to work on me to get to this identity, and that it took a lot of time and it took a lot of work, but at the end of the day, I was able to get there. And once I seen little glimpses of it, I just never wanted to stop. And I've been going at it since, and I will go at it day in and day out until the day I die. So honestly, I think in my personal experience, yes, there were challenges, and yes, there were adversities, and yes, there were people talking down saying, oh, should you do this? Oh, should you do that? Oh, is that a good idea? But you just have to ignore the noise and do what's best for you. Because at the end of the day, you know yourself better than everyone else does. So you need to figure out who you want to become, who you want to be, what your goals are going to be, and how you're going to achieve them. Create a plan, create a blueprint. Who cares if it doesn't happen in the designated timeline that you have anticipated for? But as long as you're working towards those goals each and every day, you keep them in the forefront of your mind each and every day, there will be a time that will come where you will look back and be like, damn, all the work I put in paid off. And that's the video for today. If you enjoy content like this, make sure you like, comment, and follow for more. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.